team is employing rope extraction, and it involves troops harnessing themselves and their equipment to specialized ropes where landing is not feasible. Extraction operations require precise planning, coordination, and communication between ground personnel, air crew, and support elements. Factors such as weather conditions, enemy presence, terrain, and available landing zones must be carefully assessed to ensure the success and safety of the operation. Military personnel involved in extraction operations undergo rigorous training to master the necessary skills and procedures. This includes proficiency in helicopter operations, rope work, medical procedures, and tactical maneuvers. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the band officers on parade are Flight Lieutenant Nelson Oklu, who is assisted by Assistant Superintendent of Police Francis Nana Kwame Ofosu. The band masters are Chief Petty Officer Class 1 Boachi Emmanuel Ta, Warrant Officer Class 1 Mensa Bright, Warrant Officer Class 1 Jube Kapui, with Chief Inspector of Police Teju Stephen. The drum majors are Warrant Officer Class 2 Blankson Ebenezer, Staff Sergeant Osei Patrick, Ebo Seaman Class 1 Boachi Isaac, Leading Aircraftsman Yeboah Ayoko, with Chief Inspector of Police Ada Daniel. With the trooping of the band over, the parade commander will shortly invite personnel of the Ghana Armed Forces and other security services on parade to march past in slow and quick time. Simultaneously, the parade adjutant and the parade second in command will interchange their positions on parade. The essence of this interchanging positions on parade is that in the military, the parade adjutant acts as the personal assistant to the commander, while the second in command remains at the rear to administer the rest of the troops.
Will march past in slow and quick time. Into column of contingents. Hey, the right. Slow. March.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, As we can observe, only the contingents located at the they will subsequently be joined by the rear contingent to march past in quick time. To rise and pay the appropriate compliments whenever the colors march past our locations.
Our democracy, our pride. We continue to express appreciation to members of the diplomatic corps who've come to Koforidua in their numbers to support as we celebrate our 67th independence anniversary celebrations. To all ministers of state present, the Interior Minister, Honorable Henry Quartey, the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Honorable Shelley Ayoko-Boche, and all other ministers present. We really do appreciate your time.
Approaching the days now is the parade commander in the person of Group Captain Fifi Edubuedu. Beside him is the parade adjutant, Lieutenant Commander Abraham Akwetite. Directly behind them is the number 1 contingent under the command of Captain Jeffrey Osei Kokofu. The supernumeraries are 2nd Lieutenant David Abuaje and 2nd Lieutenant Al-Hassan Mamani. The contingent Sergeant Major is Warrant Officer Class 2 Abu Joseph. Directly behind them is the all-female number 2 contingent made up of Army personnel. They are under the command of Captain Victoria Gali. The supernumeraries are Lieutenant Gertrude Jewuda Akon and Lieutenant Hilda Musa. The contingent Sergeant Major is Warrant Officer Class 2 Ajololu Loveless. Behind them is the number 3 contingent, the all-male Ghana Navy contingent under the command of Naval Lieutenant Emmanuel Atta. The supernumeraries are Acting Sub-Lieutenant Joseph Malede, Acting Sub-Lieutenant Albert. The contingent Sergeant Major is Petty Officer Class 2 Mensa New Lab. Your Excellencies, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, may I request all to rise and pay the appropriate compliments as the colors march past our locations. The national color is carried by Flight Lieutenant Randy Seshi Deku. The escort is Flight Sergeant Soa Benjamin. The Ghana Army color is carried by Captain Ebenezer Dampare. And the Navy ensign is Naval Lieutenant John Selom Kwiti. For the Ghana Air Force, we have Flight Lieutenant Meniam Chum Ampedu. The color escorts are Warrant Officer Class 2 Kwoti Benjamin, Staff Sergeant Akanlo Cyprian, Chief Petty Officer Class 2 Hagan Marshall, Petty Officer Class 1 Amu Vincent, Warrant Officer Class 1 Bio Eric, and Sergeant Okanse Julius. Directly behind the color party is the Parade Sergeant Major, Senior Warrant Officer Class 2 Kwafo Asari Ajeman. The number 4 all-female Navy contingent is under the command of Naval Lieutenant Faustina Ayona. The supernumeraries are Acting Sub-Lieutenant Patience Owusu Ansan and Elsie Atta. The contingent Sergeant Major is Petty Officer Class 1 Dunu Grace. The number 5 all-male contingent is drawn from the Ghana Air Force, and they are under the command of Flight Lieutenant Bernard Kabuti, with Flying Officer Richard Obinsefa and Flying Officer Michael Boatin as the supernumeraries. The contingent Sergeant Major is Warrant Officer Class 2 Ama Alfred. The number 6 contingent, the all-female Ghana Air Force contingent, is commanded by Flight Lieutenant Felicia Owusu. The supernumeraries are Flying Officer Esther Frimpong and Flying Officer Ivakwe. The contingent Sergeant Major is Warrant Officer Class 2 Kodo Abigail. Behind the contingent is the Parade Second in Command, Lieutenant Colonel Ampedu Banasco.
aha Caleb Yeslord team mamu akwaba enra na 67th Independence Day celebration course of Ghana. Now a few years ago, back to 4 years, Independence Day, no rotation across the regional capitals. Now last one we on Nana Dodanko Kufuado 10 year no. Me say Koforidua and the hosty Independence Day National Parade, the new resource center, youth resource center of Koforidua. Now I have clips of exclusive performances by the military, march past by students and other cultural groups. A big display Koforidua on the 67th Independence Day celebration.
The last of the police contingent is commanded by ASP Amadakon with ASP Benes Yohunu as the supernumeraries. Sergeant Major is Sergeant Kukubo Bridget. The two contingents after the number 10 contingent from the Ghana Police Service are the Ghana Prison Service contingent. The all-male contingent is commanded by DSP Justice Kofi. The supernumeraries are ASP Samuel Edu and ASP James Anetete. The contingent sergeant major is Prison Sergeant Kobe Bennett. The number 12 all-female contingent from the Ghana Prison Service is commanded by Deputy Superintendent of Prisons Angela Mensah, with Assistant Superintendent of Prisons Grace Adai and Assistant Superintendent of Prisons Eugenia Daonhoso as the supernumeraries. The contingent sergeant major is Sergeant Atobra Harriet. Assistant Divisional Officer Grade 1 Theophilus Lawe is commanding the number 13 all-male fire service contingent. The supernumeraries are ADU2 Bright Yenli and ADU1 Isaiah Kakari. The contingent sergeant major is ASO Quest Ada Anthony. The fire service female contingent is commanded by ADU2 Joanna Jelly with ADU1 Lydia Dankwa and ADU2 Josephine Ajekum as the supernumeraries. The contingent sergeant major is Deputy Group Officer Jim Peace. The all-male Customs Division contingent is under the command of Revenue Officer Richard Akogo, and the supernumeraries are ARO Timothy Soka and ARO Michael Inkansa. The contingent sergeant major is Junior Revenue Officer Class 2 Bene Emmanuel. The female contingent, the number 16 contingent, is commanded by ARO Nora Konedu Sapong, with ARO Patricia Moki and ARO Sandra Asabia Nyakon as the supernumeraries. The contingent sergeant major is Revenue Assistant Grade 1 Cindy Enema. The next two contingents are provided by the Ghana Immigration Service. The male contingent is commanded by Deputy Superintendent of Immigration Mustafa Yaya. The supernumeraries are ASI Emmanuel Ohini Eje Jechi and ASI Asamoah Opoku Menta. The contingent sergeant major is Inspector Samuel Obing Ofe. The female contingent is commanded by DSI Comfort Kofi, and the supernumeraries are DSI Matilda Eureka Kang and ASI Doreen Jechi. The contingent sergeant major is Inspector Benibe Afenyo Deborah. The number 19 and number 20 contingents are from the National Ambulance Service. The male contingent is commanded by Advanced EMT Reginald Frimpong with Advanced EMT Ejiri Felix as the supernumerary. The contingent sergeant major is Advanced EMT Bani David Selassie. The female contingent is commanded by Senior EMT Ejay Techiwa Beatrice with Senior EMT Boaten Ajua Jomo and Advanced EMT Fatila Ali as the supernumeraries. The contingent sergeant major is Advanced EMT Luko Millicent. Your Excellencies, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, we will now witness the equipment display by the various security services. Leading the equipment display are the quad bike.
The initiative of the Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Akufudampare, the 67th Independence Day celebration today is live on Ghana Police TV. We are also live on DSTV channel 362, and we are also live on Ghana Police Service Facebook and YouTube as well. This is the motorbike patrol unit of the Ghana Police Service under the command of Deputy Superintendent of Police Alex Asamoah, and he is supported by Assistant Superintendent of Police. This unit, through the initiative of the Inspector General of Police, was established under the National Patrol Department. This was formed to deal with the of crime where criminals use motorbikes to commit all sorts of violent crimes such as armed robbery, bag snatching, and assault in our communities. Personnel of this unit have undergone series of training, including the use of sidearms to deal with violent crimes within our communities. What we are witnessing this afternoon is for formation by the motorbike patrol unit. The first formation is what we call the wedge formation. It is a tactical crowd control formation used to disperse riotous mob who are about to cause damage to properties. The second group formed what we call the box formation. Is also one of the crowd control tactics used to escort hostile suspects. We have the pyramid formation, which signifies the strength of the police service and the nation at large. And what the motorbike patrol unit are telling us this afternoon is that the police service is well prepared for the upcoming general election. And the last group that we are witnessing has formed what we call the patrol formation. It signifies how the police patrol our streets and also within our communities to deal with criminal activities. That is the motorbike unit of the Ghana Police Service. Following closely after the motorbike is what we call the K9 unit of the Ghana Police Service. The K9 unit of the Ghana Police Service is under the command of Deputy Superintendent of Police Awuni Joseph Nyaba. Approaching closely to the presidential days is the K9 unit of the Ghana Police Service under the command of Deputy Superintendent of Police Awuni Joseph Nyaba. He is supported by Inspector Francis Sapon. The K9 unit of the Ghana Police Service was established unit, the formed police unit, which is under the command of Deputy Superintendent of Police George.
The initial securing of the area by the ground forces, the insertion of the special forces elements via the helicopter, which is the Mi-17 helicopter of the Ghana Air Force we are seeing right now, and then the main conduct of the assault operation. The final phase will be the extraction of the team and the withdrawal of the ground troops. The scenario for today's demonstration is a capture dead or alive operation and retrieval of possible terrorist attack plans. The demonstration involves a group of suspected terrorists who have infiltrated the country and are planning to attack some key national infrastructure. Currently fast roping from the Mi-17 helicopter of the Ghana Air Force are members of the assault team for today's demonstration. Fast roping is a technique used by military forces for quick insertion of troops from helicopters into areas where landing is impractical or too risky. In fast roping, soldiers descend rapidly from a hovering helicopter, as we just witnessed, using specialized rope systems which are typically made of nylon or similar material. Unlike rappelling, where soldiers control their descent using a harness and friction devices, in fast roping, soldiers slide down the rope using specialized gloves with a leather or Kevlar palm to minimize friction. Having safely deployed the Special Forces assault team to the objective area, the helicopter has moved out of sight to allow for the team to conduct the operation, after which they will then be extracted. The team, together with the working dog from the Ghana Military Police called Brave, are approaching the objective area where the suspected terrorists are located. All drone operators are once again being cautioned to ground their drones. Drone operators, you are being cautioned to ground your drones. With the assault forces having successfully neutralized the suspected terrorist, the military working dog Brave is now going around to make sure that they do not have any improvised explosive devices on them. Amongst the many responsibilities of working dogs in the military and other security forces services, they are used for the identification of possible improvised explosive devices and other tasks. To all operations, you are please being cautioned that you are not to video today's proceedings. Thank you. Only authorized media personnel are allowed to video. Having successfully conducted the operation, the helicopter is now going to extract the assault elements of the Special Forces personnel, with the Overwatch team still providing all-round protection to them. Military extraction using helicopters is a crucial operation conducted by various armed forces around the world to remove personnel, equipment, or casualties from a location. This method is particularly vital in situations where ground transportation is impractical, too dangerous, or time sensitive. Extraction operations can serve multiple purposes, including the removal of special operations forces after completing a mission, evacuating wounded personnel from a combat zone, retrieving downed aircrew behind enemy lines, or recovering sensitive equipment or assets. While there are different forms of extraction, today's team is employing rope extraction, and it involves troops harnessing themselves and their equipment to specialized ropes where landing is not feasible. Extraction operations require precise planning, coordination, and communication between ground personnel, aircrew, and support elements. Factors such as weather conditions, enemy presence, terrain, and available landing zones must be carefully assessed to ensure the success and safety of the operation. Military personnel involved in extraction operations undergo rigorous training to master the necessary skills and procedures. This includes proficiency in helicopter operations, rope work, medical procedures, and tactical maneuvers. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the demonstration we just witnessed today was put together by personnel of the Army Special Operations Brigade in collaboration with personnel of the Ghana Air Force. The crew on the Mi-17 helicopter is captained by Squadron Leader Akwesi Boache, and he is with Wing Commander Benjamin Otre and Squadron Leader Kwabna Anan. The flight engineers on board are Warrant Officer Class 1 Richard Mensah, Flight Sergeant Tebi Kenneth, and Sergeant Omani Ajaif Alfred. Having successfully overseen the conduct of the operation, the Overwatch team has withdrawn safely. Shall we give them another round of applause for that wonderful demonstration? Distinguished guests, flying past now is the Mi-17 helicopter of the Ghana Air Force with the Ghana flag in tow. The crew is captained by Squadron Leader Courage Fianco, and he is with Squadron Leader Ifya Amponsan and Squadron Leader Abdul Nasser Salia. The flight engineers are Squadron Leader Maxwell Mensah, Flight Sergeant Kina Stephen, and Flight Sergeant Ajiman Jesse. The first physical training institution was established in Ibadan, Nigeria, as part of the West African Command Training School in 1940. In 1945, this institution was relocated to Ghana and housed at the Signal Regiment Gymnasium at Bema Camp in Accra. Subsequently, the Armed Forces Physical Training Corps was established in 1948, with its headquarters situated at the Elwak Stadium, also in Accra. The Physical Training School underwent redesignation in 1958 and was relocated to its current site at the Military Academy and Training Schools in Teshin, now known as the Training and Doctrine Command, since 1960. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed with the drilling displays ahead, let's be mindful that the upcoming stunts and maneuvers are going to be performed by highly trained professionals. We urge all children in attendance to refrain from attempting these stunts themselves. The safety of our young spectators is paramount, and trying to imitate these maneuvers can be extremely dangerous. Equally, we are humbly requesting parents, guardians, and teachers to keep watchful eyes on their children and wards to ensure they do not try any of these stunts. Thank you for your attention, and let's enjoy the performances. Currently, the Ghana Armed Forces Physical Training School is commanded by Captain Safianu Sulemana, with Captain Isahaku Abu as his second in command. Today's gymnastics display, however, is by Captain Gershon Adase. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Captain Gershon Adanse has just asked for permission from the President to commence with the display. To commence the display for this afternoon, they will be performing a series of groundworks. They'll do the tie support, the dive to prone line, the split to sit, curl to stand, and trunk hollow. They will also perform the curl to stand and supine line, the forward roll and backward roll, the bend back lift and head spring, the carry chair for star jump and handstand forward roll, the dive and roll, the sail over and backward roll to handstand, the carry chair for handstand and forearm stand, the handspring, and then a series of head springs, which will then be followed with individual tricks to cap off the groundworks. What they are currently performing is the sail over and backward roll to handstand. That was the carry chair for handstand and forearm stand. They are now performing the handspring. They are now performing the series of head springs, which will be followed with some individual tricks. We give them a round of applause for that wonderful performance. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that was the last of the individual tricks. With the groundworks over, it is now time for the horse and vault works. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the physical training instructors will now perform a series of maneuvers generally termed vault skills and horse work. These drills are aimed at enhancing overall strength, hand-eye coordination, agility, flexibility, as well as building confidence. Among the stunts that the physical training instructors will be performing are the dive and roll, true vault, astride vault, bent back lift, and long arm drop. They will also perform the front somersault, hollow back lift, and then the most daring of all, the dive and roll through the loop. These instructors have trained for years to master the stunts they are performing. A high level of synchronization and timing are key in executing them. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to cap off this afternoon's performance by personnel of the Ghana Armed Forces Physical Training School will be the dive and rope through the loop. We are once again cautioning our young ones in attendance to refrain from attempting any of these stunts themselves. That was a wonderful display by instructors of the Physical Training School of the Ghana Armed Forces. Shall we give them another round of applause? That wonderful display by instructors of the Physical Training School of the Ghana Armed Forces will be followed with a fast roping display by personnel of the Army Special Operations Brigade in collaboration with the Ghana Air Force. In that vein, we are humbly requesting that all drone pilots should ground their equipment. All drone pilots should ground their equipment. Thank you.
So those are videos. Credit now do na nkoma the nation's broadcaster GTV in my footage na ye share the man. Hi Caleb Yeslord TV, subscribe YouTube channel on Caleb Yeslord TV. Or subscribe via notification bell on so the content will be out my way to me. Thanks for watching. Bye.